in a study published by JAMA Internal Medicine in 2015, it found that sauna bathing was associated with reduced risk of cardiovascular events such as cardiac death, coronary artery disease, and stroke. Welcome to First Responder Fitness with Carl Wimmer, where armor is forged through mental, spiritual, and physical preparation. Welcome to First Responder Fitness with Carl Wimmer, my friends. I am Carl Wimmer, and it's an honor to be here with you today. Just grateful that you're joining us on Spotify and YouTube and the other channels that you can find us. Thank you for joining us. We are deep into the holiday season, the season of eating whatever the heck you want, I guess. It seems like it's the season of excess, and I would just encourage you to, yes, go ahead and have that baked good. But also make sure that you don't overdo it. Make sure that you let moderation and temperance rule the day. Make sure that you are not letting food control you, that you are controlling food. Make sure that you're just doing healthy, at least you're choosing healthy options at least 80% of the time. Make good choices at least 80% of the time for the rest of your life, and you're going to be doing far better than the overwhelming majority of the population. Exercise, make sure you're hitting the gym, make sure you're getting outside, make sure you're doing the things you need to do, because as I've mentioned before, and I will mention here again, summer 2025 is just around the corner, and you don't want to put on 30 or 40 pounds over the holiday season and have to shed that before swimsuit season, before it's time to get in shape for the summer. And so make sure you just keep the goals in mind. Speaking of that, how are you doing in your goals? How are you doing in your health, your fitness, your longevity, prioritizing those things? I hope you're doing well. I'd encourage you to share and comment and subscribe to this channel for all the best content as we move into 2025. We're going to have a lot of great information coming your way. This is the second part of a two-part series where we discussed several different protocols, biohacks or fitness hacks that are very popular in the world today. We talked last time about some of those really trendy, really popular protocols or hacks, if you want to call them, that are just all the rage on social media. We talked about cold plunge, which is perhaps the most popular on social media because I think it makes for really good content and video, watching somebody suffer, get into a cold plunge and hyperventilate and be unable to breathe, and they're just in the middle of the ice, or even some of these people who chip ice away from the lake and then they go inside the lake and that's how they do their cold plunge. I think we respect people who overcome hard things and do hard things, and so cold plunge is all the rage right now. We did discuss that, the pros and the cons, and how a lot of the hype around cold plunge seems to be a little bit, overhype. We then talked about mindful meditation and controlling your breathing and working on those things that help de-stress your life, to help you center yourself, to help you focus on being calm. So important, especially for you first responders, police officers, firefighters, paramedics, people who are responding to trauma situations. Being able to meditate and calm yourself throughout the day is so important. And so we talked about that. We talked about the new rising protocol or life hack or health hack, red light therapy, and how it is really showing a lot of promise, and how, frankly, I'm excited to see where it goes, how it it develops over the years, how the studies continue to come out. Will they continue to show promise for red light therapy, especially in the areas of joint health and healing? Well, only time will tell. We also talked about intermittent fasting and the cult-like following that intermittent fasting has. It seems like a lot of diet protocols have a cult-like following. I was an intermittent faster, a dogmatic intermittent faster for quite some time. There are some absolute benefits to it, no doubt. But it just, some people just grasp onto something and man, they just dig their teeth into it and they say, this is the only way, the only way when it comes to dieting. If you're not carnivore, you're unhealthy. If you're not vegan, you're unhealthy. If you're not paleo, you're unhealthy. If you're not pescatarian, you're unhealthy. And it really does, it rises to the level of religiosity. It's diet religion. And people, boy, man, they take it very serious. And it's, you don't want to trample on their sacred cows, but we trample on sacred cows here at First Responder Fitness because we want truth. We want to expose truth. We want to expose you to truth and give you the best proven information. So those are some of the things we talked about, and we ran out of time. And I'm glad we ran out of time because the fifth protocol or hack that I wanted to discuss with you today is one that, well, I actually happen to be quite passionate about. It's not a sacred cow. I'm certainly open to future studies that come out and say it's no good. I do not think that's going to happen because this is perhaps the longest researched, longest studied, most scientifically backed of the hacks that we've discussed so far. And that is the use of sauna therapy for our health, for our longevity. Sauna therapy, exposing ourselves to the sauna. I have to be honest, when I first started researching sauna, I was skeptical because I figured that it was just like anything else. It was going to be one of these things that is all the rage, but is it really beneficial? And the more I studied, the more I researched, the more I started looking at the randomized controlled trials and the studies and the in-depth, really lengthy, robust studies that have been conducted on sauna use became so compelling that I continued to research. And about a year ago, I purchased my own sauna for my home. It was a pricey purchase, a pricey investment, but it has been well worth it already. So we're going to talk about some of the benefits. We're going to talk about 4 or 5 benefits today about sauna use, some of the proven benefits. The main reason I got it, to be honest with you, was for something that I wasn't sure it would help with, and I am not sure it actually helped. As you may know, I have injuries from multiple things. I have old injuries from competing as a world champion powerlifter. I also have injuries from certain incidents that happened while I was working as a police officer on duty. It was pretty rough at times. And as a result, I have had a couple neck surgeries over the years. I also fractured my spine during powerlifting preparation for the World Championships. I believe the World Championships in 2008, maybe 2009. I fractured my spine. As a result of these injuries and as a result of some of the surgeries, I have a type of palsy. It's called C4, C5 palsy, decompression palsy. And it caused some really weird nerve and muscular issues in my body. One of the things that it caused was numb hands. My hands are very numb almost all the time. My fingers, my dexterity is a little bit less than what it should be. Buttoning up shirts is a little harder than it should be. And I was hoping that some of the nerve problems I had and still have would be alleviated by sauna use. There was really no evidence that that would happen, but I was really hoping that that would happen. I would say after a year of using the sauna, my dexterity is better. The feeling in my hands is better. It's better than it was. But I can't necessarily attribute it to the sauna use, because would it have gotten this much better over a year's time anyway? I don't know. I did notice as I started using the sauna, and particularly when I'm in the sauna, that the feeling in my hands comes back quite a bit. And so that's a positive. But that's why I purchased the sauna. And the other benefits that come along with it were just added bonuses for me. So let's get right into the number one, the first, I should say, benefit of sauna use. The first benefit is cardiovascular health. There is unquestionably scientific evidence through multiple studies that show that regular sauna use has been linked to improved cardiovascular health, including lowering your blood pressure and enhanced circulation. The heat exposure induces vasodilation, the dilation or widening of blood vessels, dilating the blood vessels, which helps reduce blood pressure and improve heart function. This is one that absolutely I have noticed in myself. I have always had, almost my entire life, moderate to moderately high blood pressure. I have had doctors mention that I should probably go on blood pressure medication. I haven't. I don't. But I've always had that blood pressure that's right around 140, 150 over 85 to 95. Okay. So it's kind of high-ish. It's kind of moderate high, and not something that I want to mess with, because high blood pressure will kill you. And so I have seriously considered getting on high blood pressure medication. That issue is gone for me. It's gone. Not only is it gone, but I actually have gone to the point where I have, instead of hypertension, I have hypotension. I have low blood pressure in many cases. I relayed to you the story of me being turned away at the Red Cross blood drive a while back, because when they took my blood pressure beforehand, it was lower than what they were allowed to take. And so I was not allowed to give blood that day. That's fairly rare. I mean, my blood pressure is absolutely perfect, but it's usually not that low. In that case, I used some breathing techniques, plus my blood pressure is already low, and it was just too low that day. But I also do a tremendous amount of cardiovascular exercise, VO2 max exercise. I lift weights. I'm working out in the gym usually 6 days a week. And so my blood pressure is really solid, but nothing moved the needle for my blood pressure quicker, faster, or more efficiently than the use of sauna regularly. In a JAMA, a study published in a study published by JAMA Internal Medicine in 2015, it found that sauna bathing was associated with reduced risk of cardiovascular events such as cardiac death, coronary artery disease, and stroke. This study, conducted by Dr. Jari Luukkonen in Finland, followed over 2,300 men for more than 20 years. We are talking a deeply robust, thorough study about sauna. And one of the things that drove that is the fact that in Finland, almost everybody owns a sauna. Almost as many people own sauna as they do cars in Finland. Very popular. Sauna use is something that is just part of their culture. And they do have much lower much lower cardiovascular disease than almost anywhere else. They have lower levels of depression. They have so many varied health markers in Finland that are so much better than other countries that many years ago, this Dr. Luukkonen and his cohorts decided they were going to do this study. 2,300 men over 20 years. Dr. Luukkonen says this: frequent sauna bathing 4 to 7 times a week was associated with a significant reduction in the risk of cardiovascular disease. That's awesome, because cardiovascular disease is the number one killer of law enforcement. It's the number one killer of firefighters. It's the number one killer in the United States. Sauna bathing 4 to 7 times a week, and we'll talk about protocols in a minute, will help keep cardiovascular disease away. One of the reasons it does that is it increases the heart rate. So it simulates moderate intensity exercise. It can lead to increased blood flow, reduced strain on the heart, and it's beneficial for your cardiovascular system. So there's no question that sauna bathing reduces cardiovascular mortality. And for reference, you can see Dr. Luukkonen's study. It's a 2015 study, and you can read about that in the JAMA Internal Medicine publication. The second benefit of sauna bathing is, and this is huge, it reduces neurodegenerative diseases. We're talking a lower risk of dementia, a lower risk of Alzheimer's disease, and these are some of the greatest killers of humans. These things are devastating. Neurodegenerative disease, Alzheimer's and dementia, are absolutely terrible diseases, and they affect so many people as they get older. Regular sauna use has been shown to reduce the risk of neurodegenerative diseases, particularly dementia and Alzheimer's. The heat stress, and this is a big deal, the heat stress from sauna may increase blood flow in the brain and promote brain health. A study that was published in Age and Aging in 2017 demonstrated that individuals who use sauna 4 to 7 times a week, that seems like the magic number there, had a 66% lower risk of developing dementia and Alzheimer's compared to those who used it just once a week. So if you have a sauna at your gym and you do it once a week, there is benefit there. But if you use it 4 to 7 times a week, you have a 66% reduced chance of developing dementia or Alzheimer's. Quoting again from Dr. Jari Luukkonen, he says the frequent use of sauna is associated with reduced risk of Alzheimer's and dementia, likely through its effects on improving vascular health and reducing oxidative stress. And this is where we get into this vastly misunderstood but amazing mechanism called heat shock proteins. The heat stress from sauna exposure promotes the release of heat shock proteins, or HSPs. This helps protect brain cells from damage associated with neurodegenerative diseases. And again, that is from a study from Dr. Luukkonen. You can reference that in the Age and Aging magazine website, and it's titled Sauna Bathing and the Risk of Dementia and Alzheimer's Disease. So what are heat shock proteins? If you follow Dr. Rhonda Patrick et al. On Instagram or on any of her platforms, and you should, I believe that her company or her group is called Found My Fitness. She is no lightweight. She is a research scientist. She is vastly qualified, highly intelligent. And I don't know if there's a whole lot of people on the earth that know more about heat shock proteins than her. and the fact that heat shock proteins have a direct effect on cellular repair. Heat shock proteins are a group of proteins that play a crucial role in cellular protection. I don't know much about it. I'm talking way beyond my area of expertise here, but I can give you kind of an overview of what they do. They're activated by heat stress, such as what's experienced in the sauna, and help repair damaged proteins. They stabilize new proteins and they remove damaged ones. So heat shock proteins contribute to cellular repair. And that contributes to longevity by protecting cells from stress-induced damage, which include oxidative stress, which is a factor for both cardiovascular disease and neurodegenerative diseases. Quoting Dr. Rhonda Patrick in Biomedical Science, she says this: heat shock proteins are part of the body's natural defense against cellular damage and aging. By inducing heat stress, saunas can trigger the production of these proteins, which supports cellular maintenance and longevity. So the research, without question, has shown that heat-induced proteins help in recovery and the repairing of tissues. They reduce inflammation and they improve muscle and heart function. They improve muscle and heart function over time. So that would be the third benefit. The third benefit, if I wasn't clear, is the production of heat shock proteins in your body. The number four benefit is improved muscular recovery and pain relief. Sauna sessions can enhance recovery from physical activity by improving blood circulation and reducing muscle soreness. Now, you're going to catch me if you pay attention. You're going to catch me because I called out ice bathing as one of the issues or negatives to ice baths, if you do them all the time, is that it reduces muscle soreness and inflammation. And when you exercise, you want some of that muscle soreness and inflammation, so it triggers your body's growth process, the protein muscle synthesis, so it grows muscle. You don't want to continually beat down the inflammation caused by exercise. Sauna does enhance physical recovery and it does reduce inflammation, but it does it in a different mechanism, and it appears that it does not impede muscle growth the same way that ice bathing does. So sauna sessions increase recovery, they increase blood flow, they help deliver oxygen and nutrients to the tissues while removing metabolic wastes and products in the body. The pain reduction caused by sauna is oftentimes, if you have arthritis, you have chronic pain syndrome, it's caused by, the sauna helps with that by improving circulation and reducing inflammation. A study in the Journal of Clinical Rheumatology in 2009 demonstrated that regular sauna use could significantly reduce pain in patients with chronic musculoskeletal conditions. Quoting Niels Jorgensen, Dr. Niels Jorgensen from the University of Copenhagen, he says, heat therapy from saunas offer a non-invasive and effective treatment for muscle recovery and pain management. So the benefits of muscle recovery, improved muscle recovery and pain relief from sauna is absolutely tremendous. Number 5, the fifth benefit of sauna is detoxification and immune boost. It boosts your immune system. But the detoxification is interesting because if you were a police officer in the same years that I worked early on, if you're a police officer or a firefighter, in fact, although firefighters were a little smarter than us, if you were working in the mid to late 90s, you remember this meth lab pandemic that is just, it was all over the country, and it still is in many cases, but meth labs were almost everywhere. And we really, as recently as the 90s, did not follow smart protocols as SWAT officers when it come to going into meth labs. Half the time we wouldn't wear our respirators. Now later on we would. We wear our gas masks at least. But early on, we would hit meth labs as a SWAT team, and we'd just go in and we'd take down people. We'd arrest them. We'd be walking through a meth lab with all the chemicals and all the cat urine smell, and didn't think anything of it. Well, we started losing a lot of meth lab cops to a certain kind of brain cancer. And maybe you have some experience with that. You've known some officers who have died from this brain cancer. I've known a few. And I had a very dear friend, very good officer, a narcotics officer. He was fantastic. I don't know anyone who knew drugs as well as Officer Thompson. What a good dude. And several years after we started learning about these brain cancers, some detoxification trials came about, and I was asked if I knew anyone that could really benefit from it. And so I recommended my friend, Officer Thompson, and they contacted him, and he went through this detoxification process. Part of the detoxification process was, different supplements that would be taken or injected, and then sauna use. And one thing that I was hearing was that the SWAT officers, these meth lab officers, were sweating out onto their towels. It looked like rainbows and colors, and they were sweating out so many heavy metals and so much garbage that was in their fats and in their cells. I don't know how much of that is hyperbole. I don't know how much, because I didn't see it firsthand, but it apparently did have a really good effect. There is no question that regular sauna use helps with detoxification. It increases sweating, which helps the body release toxins such as heavy metals, if you have lead in your water or anything like that, chemicals, and other waste products. Sweating also opens up the pores and cleanses the skin. So you ever wonder why my face is so pretty? I'm kidding. I was going to say it's the sauna, but no, my face is not pretty. I wish the sauna would do a lot more for my face. But either way, it does help with skin tone. It does help your skin, and it absolutely helps you to detoxify, sweating out heavy metals and chemicals. It improves your immune system. The heat exposure can stimulate the production of white blood cells, which enhances your immune function. This can help the body fight infections and reduce inflammation. There's a study that was found, you can find it in Environmental Health Perspectives in 2012, and it found that sauna-induced sweating increased the excretion of toxic chemicals such as lead, mercury, and cadmium. Dr. Sherry Rogers in that report says sweating is one of the body's primary ways of eliminating harmful substances, and sauna use can accelerate this process. So the bottom line is the rise in body temperature from sauna exposure mimics a fever-like response, which boosts immune function and promotes detoxification. So what are the protocols, and what are we talking about when we talk about sauna? First and foremost, it's important to understand that almost every one of these studies that I'm talking about look directly at what we call the dry sauna. This is the sauna that has a heater in it with the rocks on top. You can dump the water on top. That's the type of sauna I have. These suckers can get up to, my sauna, I've had it as high as almost 215 degrees. It is not recommended. Hotter is not always better. Remember, your brain is inside this thing, and you don't want to cook your brain. I heard Dr. Rhonda Patrick say that. So almost all of the studies have said 4 to 7 times a week, approximately 20 to 25 minutes, maybe a little less, a little more, but let's say 17 to 25 minute sessions with a temperature of about 175 to 180, about 175, 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's hot. And then, of course, you can dump the water on the rocks and get a little bit more humid in there. It's still considered dry sauna, but you can get a little bit more humid in there if you want and if you can handle that. I usually try to sauna 4 to 7 times a week, and we crank it up to about 180, 185, and we put a lot of water on it, and it's fine. Sometimes it gets too hot, and my wife gets out, but most of the time she's fine, I'm fine, and it's great. You don't want to dehydrate yourself, so you want to make sure you're replenishing your fluids, drink before and after. You don't want to do it by yourself. I don't think. You can, but I think you want to be just cautious. Set an alarm. You don't want to fall asleep in there, and you most certainly don't want to pass out. I mean, if you start feeling woozy, get out. If you start feeling lightheaded, get out. Just be cautious. But most of the studies have been using the dry sauna. Very few studies in comparison, have come out about infrared sauna. Infrared sauna is much, much cooler. I think they usually get about 140, maybe 150 tops degrees. It uses a different mechanism to heat you. But the research that is coming out is very positive and very bullish on infrared sauna. It's not the same. The research on dry sauna is vastly robust, and what I've told you already, there are more studies on dry sauna than just about any other secondary, tertiary health thing that you can do for yourself. The same cannot be said for the other type of sauna, the infrared sauna, yet. But it's being studied more and more, and the studies that have come out have been positive. Especially some of the benefits of the infrared sauna show pain relief in the joints, much like red light therapy, inflammation reduction deep in the tissues, and there is some evidence that because it doesn't heat you from the outside, it kind of penetrates, the infrared penetrates, that it actually heats you up deeper in deeper tissues than the dry sauna. Those things have yet to be completely and conclusively determined, but I would not hesitate for a second to use an infrared sauna. The protocol for an infrared sauna generally calls for longer sessions, usually a half an hour, sometimes up to 40 minutes per session. So it's a longer period per session on the infrared sauna. But the information coming in is quite hopeful. So how do we wrap all this up? The bottom line is this: regular sauna use 4 to 7 times a week. If you're using a dry sauna, around 175, 180 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. If you're using an infrared sauna, same, about 4 to 7 times a week, 140 degrees for half an hour or so, will increase your health and will decrease your chances of basically all causes of mortality. It is a very effective modality for helping you improve your health. If Alzheimer's, if dementia, if cardiovascular disease, atherosclerosis, any of those things run in your family, you might want to consider if you can buy a sauna or not. Again, I have a 4-person double-decker sauna. I'll see if I can have some pictures and video that I'll include throughout this podcast. And it was a little bit more expensive. But there are cheaper ones out there. And in fact, if you're an industrious person, you could probably build the shell, the wood shell. Most of them are made of hemlock wood, wood that does not absorb as much heat as some of the other wood. So you're not burning yourself when you go inside of it. It's still hot, but the wood doesn't fry you. So hemlock or some other good high quality wood that's used for saunas. You could probably build one yourself and then just purchase the heater from somewhere like Hartvia or some other quality sauna heater company, and you could probably get one fairly cheap. But I highly recommend that you start implementing sauna bathing into your protocols. Not only does it help you health-wise, but it will help you mentally as well. It helps de-stress you. It's the way I end most of my days, and it really does help lower your stress levels at the end of the day. So there you go. I'm glad that you were able to join me for this conversation about sauna use. Can't wait to join you again next week. I hope that you're gearing up for Christmas and getting everything you need for Christmas. If you need ideas, I did a video for you just a few days ago about telling you an Amazon first responder wish list. So I encourage you to go ahead and take a look at that. And until next time, be good to yourself, be good to others. I did that backwards. Be good. Well, you know what I mean. And as always, stay safe.